Hello, this is Kade, and this is the second shipbuilding video that I'm going to be making. This time we are looking at a Freetrader ship, which I call the MV Adena. This is a ship that you can start out with from a grade componentry very easily. Most stuff doesn't really require a lot of skills, but the version that I'm going to be showing you here, of course, is the maxed out ultimate potential that you could get out of this ship. Now, the reason I'm calling this a Freetrader ship is that it is pretty much like a glorified name for somebody who likes to do some smuggling and some other things that are not entirely like, I'm not too worried about the law to the no extreme of extent. Like, we're willing to be flexible with it. And we're not going to be fully on, of course, a criminal, but if you wanted to, this ship would make a very decent pirating ship as well. And it's primarily because, of course, we do have some really powerful EM weapon systems available to ourselves. If you're just using this for your trading and you want to be running away, using turrets and weapons, you don't have to worry about aiming shit. And that means in combat, your primary job is just to gun the engines as fast as you can and use your maximum speed and your maximum maneuverability that the ships provide to avoid as much fire as possible, while the turrets can just deal with your enemies. So, what do we have then? Well, you can see here we have 500 fuel. Slightly overkill, but it can get you just about anywhere that you need to be going without needing to have too many stops in there. 1500 hull, it's fairly decent. We don't, it's not amazing, but it is plenty enough. Cargo, we have 1272 cargo in total. But of the nice thing here is that we have a 760 cargo capacity, which is shielded, which is of course where our smuggling capacity is going to come in. We are running for this maxed out build, again, the C-grade reactor, of course, that supplies us with 40 energy, with skills 45, which is going to come in very handy, we'll show you later. We have the possibility for 5 crew, although we only have 2 beds on board. Maxed out jump range at 30 light years, shields at 1620, which is, of course, depending on your skills. And we are running EM and particle weapons for our gunnery systems. So let's take a look at how we have built her up. So let's start going over those weapon systems quickly. We have obliterator turrets, a pair of them here on the winglets. Here at the front we have a pair of eradicator particle turrets, and then all the way at the front we have 2 EM suppressors. So the ones that I'm using here, of course, is fairly maxed out. You could get more DPS if you wanted to do some power juggling and you get some different turrets on here. I didn't want to do much power juggling, and I liked that these turrets match the color design of the rest of the ship, so I do mind my aesthetics as well in that regard. Now, for the reactor, as I mentioned, it is the best reactor in the game, so that is the Pinch 8C reactor. For our jump drive, we are actually using an A-grade jump drive. We don't need to use anymore, so we just use the best A-grades available, which require Starship Design 2. And of course you don't have that yet, you can downgrade, just like with the reactor, you can start this with an A-grade reactor. Our shield is again A-grade, comes with a base capacity of 810, and of course the A-grade's bonus piece of 10% regen, which is what we're going to be using in this ship if we get into combat. Just get boosting in and out of it, let those shields recharge, go back in, and use our maximum speed, because as you can see here below, we have maxed out our speed, we have maxed out our mobility, we have maxed out our jump range. And how did we do that? By staying under 40,043 mass. So you can add 1 more mass to this ship, then it's maxed out. If you add 1 more on top of that, you will start to lose your mobility. That's how close we are running things here today. So that's why we have not that many aesthetic pieces on here as well. For the bridge, we are using the Shroud Eklund, the basic top bridge that they have. The reason we're using the most basic one, again, is our mass limitations. This is the lightest version of it. We take that away. We have, as you can see, just 2 modules over here on deck 2. In the aft, we have a computer core. So that provides us with another crew station, and also it's just one of the locations, one of the hubs I think that looks very interesting, and Shroud has a unique design for its computer core, which I personally kind of like. Now we're using, of course, the Connect Pro top docker here, because it allows us to dock while we still have a bridge that actually extends above it. In the front we have the Deimos living quarters, so that provides us with the crew area and 2 bunk beds. And this is a small ship, so you really, realistically speaking, you probably would be running it with just 2 people max anyway. Then on deck 3, where we enter again through the Tayo landing bay, because it goes straight into the back, which I just personally prefer all the time. And especially with a layout like this, that is just lengthwise, it is the most efficient sort of a layout. And then we have a science lab and a workshop, which of course provides us with all of the things that we need to modify our gear, do our research, craft our medical items, all of those kinds of things. So we are very self-sufficient in that regard. When it comes to the cosmetical bits and landing gear, again, is Tayo here and a little bit of Shroud Eklund under the wings. Cosmetics, we have the weapon mounts from Nova Galactic, we use the wing bits from Deimos again, and we use the Shroud stuff from Shroud Eklund. I get confused there. Shroud and Stroud. Very close together. So we're using those for the wings because they give us that nice sleek profile that just really fits with these engines. Like this is clearly designed to all be fitting together. Then we're adding a couple of the Novatec radiators, just for the aesthetical reasons. We're using a pair here of them. And that's because then they are actually fully symmetrical, which the radiators otherwise are not. Which is a little bit silly, but it is what it is. And then for the connection points, so that we connect the wings to the ship, we are using a pair of the Shroud engine brazers. Our cargo capacity comes, of course, from the bridge here, which has some cargo capacity with it. And when it comes to the shielded capacity, we have a pair of the 200 cm ballast shielded cargo holds and another pair of the Gamma 1010 shielded cargo holds here. They're in the same class of cargo hold, but I use the different designs for where they are fitting. You could get a little bit more if you're willing to go asymmetrical, but I wanted to keep it symmetrical, so this is what we're running with, and the difference is very marginal anyway. And that pretty much covers the entirety of the ship and how it's built. It is quite intensely like just 2 decks, not very complicated, can easily be done with a great componentry. You're just going to be running some different engines at first, of course, different reactor, weapons and graft drive. But the nice thing is that over time, as your skills improve, if your level improves, you can get access to those better parts. And you can just keep upgrading this ship all along until you reach its final form. If you want to get those engines earlier, there is of course a quest reward ship for a quest line which you can look up. If you want to find the spoiler, the ship is called Star Eagle, Star Space Eagle. So you can Google that one if you want to get a spoiler for the quest line, how to get that. And that ship will come with actually 4 of these engines. So that gives you the engines that you have right here without needing Starship Design Rank 4 to get those engines equipped. Really nice way to get started when it comes to this design. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the interior, and then we'll take a final look out of it in space. We can consider it all done with. Goodbye, guys. You can see here we are entering. Let's be looking at the outside. Like, it looks very nice when it is landed. We have a fair amount of landing gears here, so a bit overkill, but I do like the design of it. It does make it just feels like, okay, it is sturdy, standing, it's not going to fall through the terrain. There we go and enter. We go straight into our science lab here. So we have, of course, our research station, and over here our pharmaceutical lab. So that allows us through our research and our medical crafting. Then we go into the back here, where of course we find our little workshop, again in the research station. But most importantly, all of the workbenches that we need to do all of the modifications and crafting that we need for our gear. Then we can go up a level into the computer core, where we also find the access to the docking collar. Through here, and then over here you have this small little area. This is why I like the Shroud computer core. It feels like this is more like a walkway, and this is like a workstation properly. And then in front here, of course, we have the Deimos living quarters. So Fairly decent area, fairly large, and it also comes with a kitchen area. If I would not, if it wants to work, there you go, galley. So you have all of the crafting stations on board that you could want, so you can do anything you need to do in the game, which I think is a really nice way to build your ship. Even if you're trying to build a small ship, make sure that you have all of those creature comforts on board. And then finally, of course, we have our small little bridge here. It's just like pretty much a glorified cockpit with some extra seats strapped to the floor. No, we're not going to slash the rubber yet on the seats, that's a bit rude. Besides, it's my ship, I don't want to destroy it. So let us take off into space. We'll take a look about it in the... we're flying around. And we'll call it quits. Let's enjoy our takeoff. That's a lot of gears, a lot of engines going off. And then the engines in the back, of course, go. And we're going into orbit. That's also the reason I really like those tile landing gears on the rear. They give you those additional visual engines. And of course, they are entirely visual. So if we're flying around here, you can see we are going able to, at our max possible speed of 179, and if we're going to be boosting, yeah, we are going really plenty fast. So you're going to be a very agile ship, going to be very easy for you to get around places, because you're also not too large, especially in the width side, so very nice to work with. Let us turn into the sun a little bit, take a look through the photo mode. And we can finish off. So you can see here on the back, engines fully blaring. As I said, those Taio engines, they don't give you any thrust, of course, but they give you a nice little bit of visual appeal in the back. It balances it out a little bit. And overall, it just really works. Of course, your paint job is going to be entirely a personal preference item, but I kind of like the gray with the somewhat more muted blues and red. And there she is. Also, the reason I put all of the turrets on the top side of the ship is because your bridge is on the top side of the ship. Most of your viewing is going to be on the top side of the ship. Like if we go in here, you can see the viewing from this bridge is not the best. But you are on the top of the ship, so if you're going to be looking at targets, chances are you want to have them above you, because that is the easiest for you to look at and also to aim at with your EM weapon systems. So that makes it a logical place to have all those turrets there, because you're likely going to be turning your ship to face upwards, so all of your turrets can engage. And even if you're not really looking about it, it's just nice to know that all your turrets are the same area of the ship, so you can turn your ship if you want enemies to be shot at. So if I see somebody on this side over here, I can make sure that I go do it like this, and I know that my turrets have the angle now to engage that target, hopefully. As you can see, of course, on the bottom left, when our power of distribution here, we can power everything, and of course we have one power for the grav drive, which is all that you ever need for the grav drive, because, well, it saves you a couple of seconds, which is really not worth it. Even if you're under fire, you'll probably survive. So yeah, that is the MV Adena. It is a Freetrader ship, comes with a nice bit of shielded cargo, plenty of firepower, good enough defensive shields, maximum speed and maneuverability, and all of the creature comforts crafting stations that you would need on board your ship. So I think it is a really nice ship to start with. It can be fully built up from an A-class ship until its final iteration here, as of course a full-on C-class ship in a A-class hull size, which I think is a really cool thing that we can do. And yeah, I hope you find this one informative and that you enjoyed this build as well. If you'd like to see more of them, by all means do let me know down in those comments. And if you have any, style of ships that you would like to see, by all means drop down a suggestion and I will see what I can cross from that. That's probably like in the use cases or whatever, like design it is a little bit more tricky. But if you have something that like, hey, could we design something this area, you can put it in there, I can give it a bash. But I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going with that exact design, but if you have like a purpose that your ship wants to do, I should be able to get you there in a very nice little package. Also, if you're like, hey, I just want to see some more basic ships, like, hey, can you just show me some A-class ships with just base level components, like maybe just engineering 1, piloting 1, so I don't need many skills into my ships because I want to focus my skill points purely on the ground-based combat, which makes a lot of sense because most of your combat is going to be on the ground. Again, let me know and I'll see if I can craft you a nice full-on A-grade ship. And maybe we'll take a look at this one again, also in a full A-grade configuration, how that would look and function. So yeah, that has been me, Kade, and I would like to thank you all very much for taking the time watching here and listening along with me in the ramble. You may notice all of these things, there is not really any editing going on, and that is because I am kind of crap in editing, so I just do these all in one take. I hope you can forgive any of the errors that because of that will slip in and some of the pauses that may occasionally happen. But yeah, again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.